afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, guys. Happy Friday evening. Happy Friday evening. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone is doing amazing. We've got our pizza party here on this Friday night that we decided to spend with you all because there's just too many things to discuss on the horizon, you guys. That's really the truth, right, Christy?
Yes, there's not enough time. There's not enough moments in the day to cover everything. That's the truth.
And we've been getting a lot of questions that have been coming up on people hitting us up on the DMs that are really asking us about, this whole letter situation with Ashton and how does it really work in the family dynamics? Like, because people are thinking like, well, who is it in the family that's doing this or that is saying this or that is writing letters like this? Who could it be that's actually orchestrating the talking points? Because one of the things that comes up very often about these letters is that they all pretty much have the pitch of what things need to be said in all the letters, because they all talk about the drugs. It's all these coordinated talking points between the Rabisis and the Kutchers and every last shred of person that wanted to get their letter in there. It didn't sound like they were really actually doing the letters, really thinking for themselves or advocating in a way that would sound credible. For if they really did love Danny, there could have been a million other ways they could have advocated way better for him. Don't you think, Christy?
I do, and I just think it was so incredibly tone deaf for the victim. So it's like, I do feel like it had to have been scripted by someone, and we are so used to, and I think the outside world is not used to, the idea that an organization would write out talking points and say, here, this is your template, make it your own, and send it back. Like, they instruct you what to say, what to think, how to feel. And that really, I think, came through in all of these letters. It was ridiculous to me how few talked about the verdict, talked about the victims. It's just as if that aspect was not even related. This is just about, let's just make Danny Masterson sound like a stellar hero to everyone. And it's so tone deaf, and so incredibly tone deaf.
And that's when things don't start to make sense. That's when we really start questioning what's below the surface, you guys. Because again, it's like, it could be one thing that the Mastersons, the Kutchers wrote these letters that were a little tone deaf, but then everyone else sort of wrote a letter that was a little bit more grounded in reality. But when they're all coordinated efforts to literally minimize and trivialize the very real testimony and the very real receipts that have been brought forward by the victims from the beginning, you guys, because it cannot be overstated how, as much as everybody wants to give everyone this, general boilerplate of plausible deniability and really like benefit of the doubt, it's like, it's naive to give the benefit of the doubt when Scientology founder L Ron Hubbard shredded that benefit of the doubt, given that they were instructed to literally document and write out all the evidence that was given to them from the moment there was a peep about the out-2Ds that took place in that party. So when those out-2Ds took place, knowledge reports were written, including but not limited to the Jane Does themselves, taking themselves to the ethics room in that hotel, where it's literally a hotel room that says ethics. And then people go there and, okay, what's up? Oh yeah, well, last night we really were drinking and I didn't understand what happened, but we did this and it might have been an out-2D and it might have not been the right thing for me to be doing. And what did you do to pull it in? And how did you make this happen? And all of those things that, you know, at the time, as outrageously ridiculous as it sounds, we really bought the pitch. And, you know, these Jane Does were really young and impressionable and naive and gullible AF, you know, and those are the toxic dynamics that we're outing here as we sit here all having to pretend that no one had a shred of a clue what happened during those nights. And, you know, really getting to the point of the family dynamics being toxic AF, you guys, it's like Scientology parents eroded all boundaries between themselves and their kids at a level that I don't think anyone can even imagine, because it was so incestuous and so outrageous. Just there was not a shred of boundary. They could find out anything that would make them write it down. Write me down what you did with this one and that one. And it's like all this data mining that they're gathering for themselves. And it's like, why would you all want to know that? Like, how does that make any sense? What are you trying to control or prevent or clean? And all done with this like very puritanical, completely BS thing about how ethical they are. And it's like, it's not ethical for parents to not have boundaries with their kids. That is unethical AF. Like, it should be common sense that there are boundaries there that are just like not for everyone to be literally exploiting that information.
Yes. And I was super fortunate somehow that as all of these propositions were put in front of me beginning at 12, heavily from 12 to 15, like really heavily at Flag. Somehow I found it within myself to know that it was wrong when these 40-year-old men were propositioning me with all sorts of things that I wanted. I did want to go to school. I did want to go up the bridge because I thought that that had some value at that point. I did want to be taken care of, and I hadn't been as a child. And so these things that they were offering me really did resonate with me. But for some reason, I knew it was wrong. It didn't feel right. But I do remember men telling my mother that they wanted to have these sexual relationships with me, or they would just say 2D. I want to have a 2D with your daughter. And she would greenlight it. And when I would approach her and say, no, I don't want this with this man, she would question me as to my motives. And if I was saying anything critical, it was that I was nattering about them, and I would need to check whether I had overts against them, whether I had done bad things to them to cause me to feel critical of them. And really, I just was like, no, I don't like old men. I'm sorry. I just don't want to. I didn't. And so that really made me, I would say, asexual for a long time. Like, I was so turned off by this advances by these men. But I will say that there were young girls all around me in the Hourglass. And I don't know if the Hourglass was still there when you were there.
Oh, yeah.
That was where we hung out, and we would play backgammon, and we would eat, and we would, in the evenings, it was just a hangout place. And it was young girls and these 40, 50-year-old men. And they would just come and join our table and sit there. And we were all like little kids babysitting around the Fort Harrison for public that was visiting, or these were teenage girls that were visiting that were sent to Flag without their parents. So they had no parental supervision. And we all kind of clustered together because that felt safe. And these men would just circle around us and try and mock up 2Ds with us, which was so gross. And a number of girls did get involved in these sexual relationships with these men. And it was really, it never ended well. And I can have a million stories of how that went. But I feel so fortunate that I was able to say, I'm not doing this. But I just remember how much my mother was like, they're moving up the bridge. They're flourishing and prospering. They're upstat. Like, who are you to say no to these people that have so much success in their lives? And in fact, sometimes these were men that my mother was attracted to and wanted to have a 2D with, and they were approaching me instead. And that was such a weird dynamic between my mother and I at 13 years old. Like, the guy she had a crush on me instead. And we had to navigate how weird that was. But it was totally acceptable because, and she had told me for a long time, and it was a normal thing to say at Flag, Age is a consideration. Age is only a number. Like, I heard that I don't know how many times. A body's just a body. Why are you hung up on your body? Why do you have body considerations? And I was just like, I don't. I just don't want to date a 40-year-old man, you know? It doesn't seem right. And then I was blamed for being the one, just like that 7-year-old girl shouldn't object to a passionate kiss from a grown man. Like, it was the same thing. It was the same thing, only I was 12, 13, 14. And so I can totally relate to what you're saying. It's yuck. It's so yuck. And I feel super fortunate that somehow I had something within me that just objected, you know?
Mhm. Well, and that's just so that we can contextualize, you guys, that we're not we're not ganging up on the Masterson family.
Mm.
Literally, we couldn't be more horrified about looking at the faith of that family, how they're being exploited at every level. I mean, no one is winning. Let's rest assured of that. No one is winning by all of this dysfunction and all of these incentives being so corroded. Like, there has no rhyme or reason to it. It's all just unthinkable dysfunction. And, with a lot of money being passed around between, all manner of attorneys that really want to do something about what,
Mhm.
it's like going back to the lack of advocacy on Danny's part. And, in this video reaction that I just did, Christy, where literally Ashton Kutcher, kid you literally not, you guys, is telling us that, he really looked into the research about how, people that are in the foster system end up being on, death row. And because they never got the type of love they needed as children. And it couldn't be more tone deaf yet again, because the foster system and Scientology are not that different, given that our parents gave us up to this collective of randoms. These
Yeah.
randoms were nobodies, you guys. Like, oh, I come from Mexico, I come from Australia. And at the time, that was enough to bamboozle us kids who just thought, oh, well, aren't you cool that comes from another country, like, and are running around in some military uniform that I'm sure means a lot, because no one could be really playing that type of joke with us as kids, right? I mean, go to our community, on my community post today. I posted a photo of two grown men looking at a video recording of a session, instructing themselves. What do you see there? We really have to check the quality. What in the hell quality are you checking if you're also asking minors, including but not limited to, have you committed any sexual perversions, and they're 12 years old? And I mean, we have photographic evidence of these practices being done, Christy. And yet again, it's like the Clearwater Police has access to everything we're posting. We're tagging them all the time. And if you guys really want to help us, and you really want to not just sit here and listen to all of this dysfunction, tag your questions in their comments. Ask them your questions from everything you're finding out here. We're not just here to talk ad nauseum for the next 10 million years because we have nothing better to do. We're literally here, actually connecting with all of y'all that want to understand what in the literal hell is going on. And, the dysfunction is unthinkable. And, this family couldn't be more effed over if they weren't paying to get effed over. And that's what's really so sick about this. It's like the parents that were supposed to have the critical thinking skills got those critical thinking skills compromised so early on, you guys, that, by the time they really were so sure of themselves, and that's their problem, that they're, oh, I'm so sure that I really know what in the hell I'm talking about, even though they blab all these things that L Ron Hubbard taught them that mean nothing. For people that clear a lot of words in the dictionary, y'all could not be more full of misunderstoods. If you weren't clearing every stupid word in that dictionary, that means nothing. In the real world, it means nothing. It just built your narcissism. So you literally became that thing, that L Ron Hubbard drone with zero critical thinking skills, thinking you were so special, very a la celebrity. You know, here we're seeing more tone deaf situations going on with even like now, even Drew Barrymore. Even she's now saying, oh, yeah, let me just do my show because people really need my show, need me because I'm so special. And, you know, the writer strikes can go just, you know, they can just strike it somewhere else because, you know, I'm just doing me, boo. And, you know, I'm really special. I'm really important. I really know what in the hell I'm talking about. People really need me, 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 me. These people only think in me's, you guys. Since kids, they've been told they're so special and wonderful. They surround themselves with yes men's, and everybody just bow downs to them as if they're some sort of like slave masters because their name means a lot because the press keeps using their name so that they can sell their BS news. I mean, it's a cycle of, you know, it's like Hollywood and Scientology are so entrenched. You almost go, where's this and where is that? Where does this begin and where does that end?
Totally. You've got cult of celebrity and the cult of Scientology. And we've talked about this extensively, that if you were not already a narcissist when you arrived at Scientology, you became one because it grooms narcissists, right? And I feel I know it's not a popular opinion, but it's hard for me to celebrate Danny Masterson's outcome. He's a second generation kid just like us. And he was a victim before he became a victimizer. And if he had gotten some help, could his outcome have been different? I'm going to struggle with that until
Well,
the
no,
end
I
of
mean,
my days,
and I would say, Christy, his outcome would have been different, right? Someone advocating on his behalf, on his best interest, and say, you are going to get the book literally thrown in your literal head. Look at what they have here. They just shared their evidence with us. Look at what they have over here. Look at what they sent us here. Look at this report here. Look at all these times that they said that, you know, you admitted all this stuff. Because what in the hell were you doing getting advice from people at a hotel? I mean, it's not like Danny didn't have connections to the outside world, you guys. Those are the Sea Org members. Those are the ones that are insulated AF. Christy and I were insulated AF. We had not a shred of anyone law that knew a shred of law around us to advise us on anything. So we're starting with that fact. Danny had those people. And, you know, in the aftermath of all of this, Sean Hawley and that other Cohen that should have really been looking in the best interest of their client should have been really opening his eyes to what was in front of them, turned in as evidence so that these people would even open anything. It's not like they did us any favors, you guys. It's not like these Jane Does didn't come with receipts. Like, as everyone says, oh, there was no evidence. Well, you know what? There was a trail of receipts all over the place. So before everyone says, oh, did it happen or it didn't? Well, y'all take a look at yourselves. If you really are going to just pathetically for 20 years make up a lie because you really care about Danny Masterson, I mean, literally, like what kind of stupid ass defense is that?
I feel like everyone's so outraged by it, and then we're so used to it. Like, this is just standard operating procedure. These responses, these rationalizations, these justifications, the Scientology parents' response to these things that I just shared with you that my mother said. I wrote down the other day this whole list of responses to me when there was sexual assault attempts or sexual assault when I was in Scientology. It's just one rationalization after another. They're just all these bizarro, and they're so similar. And so we all were hearing the same things from our parents, from adults that were in the room when these things were happening to us or looking the other way. They were all saying the same things. And someone said the other day, oh, I thought just Nora was called that thing. And I was like, no, they said this to all of us because there was only one Scientology language. We were all in this bubble and we all got the same bullshit responses and thought stopping crap. It was just like same shit, different day, different base, different kid, but same. Once your parents' mind was corrupted and compromised and they learned this language, they would just robotically parrot out the same bullshit over and over again. And so that's why our experiences are so similar. And it's so shocking because we weren't allowed to talk about it before. Now we can talk about it. And we're like, oh my God, you just told me my life. Like you just related to me my childhood experience. It's so horrible and also a little bit healing, but you know what we're talking about, how a parent, how Carol Masterson would have responded when this thing, when her son did this thing, or when she hears her son did this thing, or when any child around her experienced this, they all would respond the same way. And it's so gross. It's so gross. And we didn't know it until we got out. Like we knew it was gross because it felt gross. It felt gross and it felt wrong. But it took getting out and being in the world and learning language to go, it was gross. It was always gross. It was never okay. And we have to stop it, you know?
100%. So to further corroborate how these apology letters, you guys, have just been a part of the culture, we got ourselves one of these receipts that came through our lines of an email that we will also be posting on our community line so everyone can read it. But we're going to read here this email.
Miriam says we may share that it's from her. This is Miriam Francis, my partner on our podcast, The Lighthouse Project. And she shared this from her mother. And just for a little bit of context, this was following a phone conversation that she had with her years later as a young adult. And she was trying to find out from her mom that when you found out that I had been sexually assaulted repeatedly through my childhood, and everyone knew about it in the Sea Org, why did you not do anything? Why did you not help me? Why did you not contact authorities? Why did my father not get the punishment that he deserved? Why, in the Sea Org, there's this thing that if you commit crimes and you violate certain rules, that you get sent to this prison program, the Rehabilitation Project program. And we watched lots of people. I went twice. Serge went for a very long time. Lots of kids, plenty of adults, pedophiles, actual criminals that should have been in prison in this rehabilitation project force. And we could go on about that for days, but her father was never sent there. He was never punished for sexually assaulting her in the Sea Org repeatedly. And anyway, she's asking her mom, why? And this letter is her mother's email response to her after that phone call.
So this is what her mother says after what Christy just shared to us about Miriam, you guys. I've been thinking a lot on the last conversation we had and your messages, and what is the right thing. At first, I wanted to rush off, get retributive, and hurl fire and brimstone, all stirred up. I did go over this with my chaplain and asked her help, and her suggestions let me see there's other alternatives. For one, even though you say you've cut calm, and I am totally supportive of your decision on this, you may like to reconsider getting back in calm. So remember, calm is just their shorthand of saying communication. And cutting calm means you don't want to talk to them anymore.
And so what she's saying is that Miriam had decided she did not want to speak to her father, her predator, anymore. And so she cut calm with him. She set that boundary.
The only reason I mention this is because in my experience, I found that the things I've avoided have been things that lingered on with doubts and irresolution. You know how you kind of get hung up on a maybe or if? Anyways, if you don't want to, that's cool. But I was looking at you, your incredible abilities, your personality, your determination and grit, your perception of people, your flair and graciousness in handling people and situations, your creative drive, and how you imbue life into all things you do. When I think of you, I think of the day we spent together at the museum and the art gallery. The Aborigine paintings and crafts. But just being with you was a total pleasure that I hold so dear. The thing is, I'm here and I'm doing what I'm doing because I think it's the best thing. I feel that I've helped change things in the world for the better. And I cannot turn my back on that despite sacrifices that seem sometimes beyond the norm. To me, there is a failure that goes beyond this lifetime. And so, in my own way, I try to think that there is a future for us together. I have tremendous affinity and admiration for you. I love you unconditionally and try to do everything in my power to make things go right. Much in life makes us bitter, but I've also seen from my own auditing that we've been sour and unforgiving and protesting victim, that there's something that I haven't understood or that I didn't see the whole picture on. And once those things were cleared up, then I was free from holding on to old grudges and just went about creating my own life and future. Well, isn't that nice, guys? Literally, isn't that so nice that the gaslighting is all through that entire letter from a mother that, I mean, contextualize again, Christy, what in the literal hell was going on?
That she's holding a grudge against.
She's just holding a good old grudge, guys. I mean, that's how they pitched it. Oh, and auditing has really taught me that if you really just talk about it ad nauseum for 100 million hours that they're going to sell you on, it's all just going to get cleared up because you're getting abused in a hotel room where all your dignity is going to get yet again shredded. It wasn't enough that the predator took it out of you, any shred of dignity, as they were abusing you. That was not enough. They would then double down and then triple down, locking you up in those rooms to go get interrogated because our parents thought that was a great thing to be doing to us as children. Why don't you go and do it on you? You will love it. It'll be so great. You will love it so much. You will write a lot of success stories. Never mind that we had to make up the BS success stories so we could get out of those disgusting rooms with these ridiculous, pathetic clowns that were really all about their memos from L Ron Hubbard. And they really want to tell us how much they loved us. Abuse and love don't coexist. We did find out very late in life. It's just an FYI for all of you guys that are here that are also survivors of trauma, that have also been gaslit ad nauseum over, we really, really love you, but we're abusing you full time. So maybe that pitch worked when we didn't know our own worth. But we're advocating on behalf of a letter like Miriam, where yet again, these people just find out 1,000,001 ways to blab about anything that doesn't make even a shred of sense. All of that bubbling about the museum and the art gallery. I mean, as if you cannot tell that this woman is very knowing what in the hell she's doing. Oh yeah, that loving time, that one time that I did do something good for you. Wouldn't it be nice to just, get back to that pleasure moment is what they would call it. Oh, we had so many pleasure moments together. And just like that, they would intellectually compromise us too, because we were kids and we're like, wait, they're the ones that know what in the hell they're doing, right? They're our parents. Last time we checked, they were our parents, the ones that were giving us the false pitch that they bought.
And it's so hard to hear this now as an adult. And I'm not a mother. I didn't have children because of my Scientology childhood. I didn't feel safe. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I'm an aunt. I am the friend of people that have children. It just breaks my heart to think of this as an adult with compassion and caring about a child. And I just can't even imagine. And I can't imagine because I wrote these notes down the other day about my experience with these sexual assaults or attempted sexual assaults. And I remember that feeling when I was being gaslit about what I was experiencing, and I was being told that it was okay, or I was being told that it was my fault and that I deserved it, or I had caused it, or I should just let it go, or I was dramatizing. Like, just, it's so funny. Was I on a stream with you last night or somebody else? And we were talking about the love bombing, or the as a child in Scientology, you are looking for some kind of validation. And the only way you get validation as a Scientology child is to appease them in certain ways. Get your stats up, have your ethics in, complete courses, make it go right, whatever. There's like these standard things that they said, oh, theta potato, oh, you're a big thetan, all these things that they say to you. There are so few, Serge, compared to the negative ones. Like I was just typing all the positive ones and I ran out and I was like, wait, what? There's so many negative ones. Like I could go on for days about the critical comments that were told to us when we were children and all the slights and accusations. But the positive ones, I could probably count on one hand.
Wow.
And that's super sad. Really, it's super sad.
Yeah, well, because it's really like infectious. All of these phrases are getting infected from one user to the other, guys. And again, before they know it, who in the hell were these people? But just these robots regurgitating, horrible things that didn't make a shred of sense. Like
And
literally.
the saying, it's not a Scientology saying, it's an outside saying. It was, when you break a child down, they don't stop loving you, they stop loving themselves.
Yeah. And we are seeing here on SPTV, guys, like literally Luis Repetto, this other kid, that grew up in Scientology, that was on his live with Degraded Daughters, Vanessa from Degraded Daughters, having a complete meltdown when he didn't
And
even expect. There's been years since he left.
in such a raw, brilliant, organic way, because he's been out in the wild and he hasn't been connected to his own. And so suddenly having a conversation with us, using this language again, connecting to the things that we experienced, he did not expect the emotions that would come along with it. And you don't feel your emotions while you're in Scientology, and then you don't feel them for a very long time. And then when they show up, they are painful. Like I was trying to explain, it feels like someone's peeling your skin off. Like it feels awful. You've been conditioned that emotions are bad. And when they start to come out, you don't know what to do about it. You don't know what to do. You'll do anything to numb them, whether that's drinking or smoking or sex or whatever positive thing you can do to replace having actual feelings. You will try, you will do it for a long time. And that's awful. And so what I watched with him last night was so brilliant and so palpable, and just, I know it was uncomfortable for him because he didn't expect it, but when we can do this together and heal and evolve, it's so valuable.
Yeah. That it's and that's why we're exposing these very toxic AF family dynamics that could be found in all of our families. So going back to the Mastersons, are just the poster childs of this thing. They're the ones that have the celebrity name. They're the ones that everybody has been reporting on ad nauseum, given that they finally were the ones that literally succumbed in the most horrendous way, being implicated in the most unthinkable, horrendous way. You would not wish what they happened to them on your literal worst enemy, you guys. There's just no way to wish that horrific dysfunction on anybody. It doesn't make sense, you know. And as we advocate for him today as a second generation, I mean, again, with horrific lawyers that didn't give a shred of an F about him, that didn't separate him from the toxic AF dynamics that he was into. And of course, he had not a shred of remorse. And of course, if you have not a shred of remorse, the justice system is going to come down on you. And yes, you can play your luck. That's always available for everyone to go play their luck. But you know, that playing their luck is really playing Russian roulette. And this time it didn't work out.
Well, and when he needed help, he didn't get real help. And instead he got enabling, and instead he got bullshit like we all did. And of course that doesn't help you. It just bred Scientology. A lot of what happens is called certainty, and you get that in Scientology, and they advertise that as something beneficial, that you're going to have full certainty, and you do. You buy these lies, you will parrot them off to people, you fully believe them, and even after you leave, you'll continue to robotically believe that you're superior to everyone, and that you're the smartest, and that you're just better in all ways. And so it's so interesting to have watched that in him. And I feel so sorry for him, because it's so sad. It's so sad to be that disconnected from reality and actually believe it about yourself.
But
And then
it's
you have this
he's
hard
believing
come
it because
down.
of all the gaslighting that he's getting from every single perception of angle of perceiving any reality, you guys. And you
Right.
know, going back to Taryn Manning, that really did tell everybody how they really feel. It was a mistake. Why is someone crucifying somebody for a mistake? That's what's in their brain. Okay, well, he committed a mistake. Y'all get over it. You know, it's not like you cannot float it. What's the hell is the big deal? I mean, that's the level of cognitive dissonance that is showing up in those letters. So that's even when I question, you know, how much Scientology wasn't on Ashton and Mila's lines.
Totally.
Because you know what, were they really not Scientologists, or were there secret Scientologists that really did have an assistant that was also a Scientologist? Like, why would you have all of those people around you if you're really not about that?
Well, as we know, Scientologists get surrounded, unbeknownst to them, by handlers, appointed, placed strategically by the church. Lisa Presley found out, freaked out, fired everybody. But how many don't know? You don't know that your personal assistant, you don't know that your security guard, you don't know. They have all been strategically placed by Scientology to surround you, report on you, give you advice, keep you on the path. Like, I can't even imagine. I mean, we know that Danny's entire family is, committed and completely complicit, but I have no idea how many other people that they intentionally implanted to keep him surrounded.
This is
Terminals.
what they call it,
Yes,
guys.
they do. It's
Those are your
terminals.
terminals.
We're
Like,
not
those are your
humans. We're
terminals.
terminals. Yeah. We're not
Terminals,
humans. We're
terminals,
terminals.
Carol Masterson is your terminal. She's the manager. Go ask the manager what she recommends we do with this crisis.
Right.
It's really
This
going to
doesn't
help us.
belong on my lines. Who's your terminal? Right. Who's the
So,
appropriate terminal for this thing? It's
so
very
people are
impersonal.
gathering that information, and all these terminals don't have, number one, a shred of a legal license. Okay, never mind that they're advising on those matters. And it's like, before you want to say, but they didn't have a shred of a clue what they were doing, they actually do, because L Ron Hubbard did ask them to say, is he responsible for any felonies that he hasn't been caught for? Ask him to admit to that. And then, sell him a program on how we're going to help him in this hotel to, float it. And people are making $50,000 transfers from their literal bank account to this hotel. So if you really do transfer $50,000 to be asked these questions in these hotels, all recorded, all transcribed, with this machine that purports to float felonies. I mean, again, how pathetically ridiculous can y'all be in this year 2023?
What was your forgiveness thing? What was the thing that you had to say at the end of your?
Oh, yeah. By the power invested in me, any overts and withholds you have fully and truthfully told me are forgiven by all Scientologists. So, you know what? Apparently, they really do forgive a lot in there. They really do forgive a hell of a lot.
Yes, as long
you
as you're
just
not
really rattle
exposing
off
them.
that thing, you guys. That's what I had to say to these people all the time. What in the hell was I doing telling them that starting at age 12? Please, CC Monique Yingling, we haven't CC'd you in a while. Well, you should be coming up yet again. Since you're the woman that thought this was really a great 501c to prop up for yourselves. Please, by all means, start making sense of it. The 200 plus law firms that Leah Remini said Scientology has on retainer, y'all really should be really looking at what in the hell you're doing with that retainer, because it might be that retainer y'all been cashing is going to come at a really hefty cost once the law actually catches up to the attorneys. Never mind all these people here at the bottom of the pyramid that literally maybe can strike a deal that they were really just pathetically deranged and they really shouldn't be even tried because they were under the spell of a convicted, indicted felon that was pitched to them according to a contract that they signed that, yeah, is an everything goes environment inside for us, the adults. So none of this stuff is making a shred of sense, you guys. In this year 2023, we couldn't be more confused. We couldn't be more nauseated. We couldn't be needing literal bags to vomit in, because all we get is this pathetic, regurgitated, sanitized talking points talking about we really do care about victims and we really want to do a lot and we really should be tapping Ashton Kutcher to really help us with all of this because isn't he such a great hero, such an American hero?
Well, and he has the technology to catch all of these things that we're talking about: human trafficking, child sex trafficking, sexual assaults. He has the technology, right? I forgot what it was called that he was touting to Congress, but I would like to borrow it.
Yeah, they were saying spotlight, and they can really look in the dark web, and they really have a way to data mine a lot of really crazy stuff that they're data mining, these Ashton Kutchers and his tech bros. Oh, guess who else is in the business of data mining a lot of crazy ass shit? That I guess the FBI only wants to talk to the tech bros, but doesn't want to talk to us. That we're also not wanting to be tech bros, not wanting to be doing this data mining on adults for ourselves. We never signed up for that. We never consented. And y'all couldn't be playing dumb with us in such a ridiculous, plain AF manner. CC all of y'all at the FBI. CC y'all. Start getting with the MF program. Start calling your police chief at Clearwater and find out why they never find a shred of a thing in that police station to pull a string on. Ask them to explain their damn selves. Since we've already had our entire time wasted by those corrupt people that were so inept and hard to deal with and so literally abusive with us when we thought that they were there to help us and they were just gaslighting us and wasting our time.
Yeah, that was traumatizing, wasn't it? That was some messed up shit. It certainly makes you not want to go back to the police again.
Yeah, and then we
not
wonder
that we're going to stop,
guys.
but
Literally, we wonder why, And at the time, we just thought it's like when we started looking into the police, we're like, okay, well, hello, guys. No one has ever filed a shred of a report. Well, maybe that's why they don't get it. Maybe they just really are that clueless. Okay, well, let's give them the full benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but you know what? That first detective was like, let's keep this off the record because they check the record every Tuesday, right? So if we use these terms, they're going to get a report of everything. And so let's keep it all off the record. And we were like, okay. Yes. And we're going to partner with the FBI, and we're going to partner with all these different departments, and we're going to look into this. And then a year later, no, they didn't do anything. And in fact, that woman was removed and put on traffic duty.
Yeah.
And then now we had a new guy who was treating us like criminals, who wasn't giving us this advice or trying to help in any way. He was trying to challenge everything that we were saying. And so the dynamic completely changed. That was bizarre, but whatever. It really, the lesson that you learn is, I don't know, give up. Like, I don't know. What is the lesson?
Yeah,
That
I mean, the
there's no
lesson is
justice.
that, if they're corrupt AF, they're corrupt AF. And we know what in the hell we know now, and we have the receipts. We literally have the receipts of that investigation, you guys. That's the very, very bad news for the Clearwater police and team. That now we're not just wondering that the police is full of inept people that don't give a shred of an F, that have been enabling, this is a state-sanctioned child trafficking of minors at scale, enabled by the Clearwater police. Because for 5 decades, these hotels have been operating without a shred of a stop. Minors go in and out of those hotels on a literal daily basis. And the Tampa Bay Times is acting extremely confused. And the Clearwater police could not really investigate a shred of a thing. And all they have to do, guys, is go look at their child trafficking laws, the ones that are already on the record in black and white, to talk
Hey,
about coercion,
they
fraud.
could partner with Thorne and Ashton Kutcher.
Literally.
There
Shout
you
out
go.
to them. Just go and sign yourselves a partnership. I mean, but the point is that the laws are already written on the books. We've studied the laws to understand what in the hell was done to us. The fraud and the coercion and the locking up of our passports couldn't have been more illegal. Literally. The textbook definition of trafficking is those 3 things. They gave us a BS contract. They afforded us not a shred of legal advisor to look over the contract. Never mind that, I was 14 when I signed it, 15 when I started, and Christy was also how old when you started and signed
This
it?
year,
Yeah.
so we signed it at 9 and 10, and then we activated it at 11 and 12 the first time, and then 12
Yeah.
and 13, and then 14 and
Literally
15, and then
11 and
15
10
and
years
16,
old,
and then
really
over
signed
and over and
binding
over.
contracts in America, you guys. They couldn't be more binding. They couldn't be more things that you really have to arbitrate. They couldn't be like dead bondaging you literally on a weekly basis. Oh, now you owe us for this. Now another course to add to your thing. Make sure you sign your invoice. So again, it's like all these toxic dynamics are a full-blown circle of disgusting abuse. All the celebrities know that this is how it goes for the Seor kids. They just don't give an F. Marisol Nichols for a slavery-free world. That woman does not give a single shred of an F. She's just there putting out podcasts, really pitching herself as a Hollywood vigilante. And the Hollywood Reporter, who literally pitches this, Marisol Nichols, as the Hollywood vigilante of sex trafficking. And Ashton Kutcher could not be the most. I mean, it's like that's where you go. It's like these reporters are sleeping with these people in the most disgusting, unintellectual ways that anyone can possibly think. And you really have
Well,
to
I feel
wonder.
like I'm not going to let Ashton Kutcher off the hook, and I don't think we should. I don't think we should let him resign and step away silently into the shadows. I think we should hold him accountable for what his intention was to Congress and to children and to trafficking, and we should ask him to assist, ask him to help. You might not want to be the head of it because you can't be objective. You are blind, you have blind spots, but I feel like, to me, and as a Scientology, when you do something wrong, you have to make amends for it. I believe that the amends here should be exactly that he should have to help us expose the thing that he was helping support, whether unknowingly or not. I don't care. I would call
Absolutely.
out Ashton and Mila to help us now. You were on the wrong side of it. Now help us.
You've been
That's what I
scammed
would ask them
too.
to do.
You've been
Right.
scammed too. That at best you've been scammed. At best you've been
Punked.
literally
He
being
was
used as a
punked and he
you've
punked.
been
Yeah.
used as a proxy, and
Mhm.
it's unthinkable and it's disgusting. And again, we don't wish that on our worst enemy, but I couldn't agree with you more, Christy. It's let's see you step up, not step down.
Mhm. I agree. So that's it. Ashton Kutcher, step up, don't step down. Like, seriously, that's the thing. Don't step away off into the shadows. Do what you said. Do what you said you were here for, even when it's your friend, even when it's this thing that's this close to you. Do what you said. Deliver what you promised. That's the Scientology saying. Deliver what you promised.
Well, and your whole board too. I mean, it's not like Thorne has no shred of a clue about anything. It's like everyone has access to Google. The all of this information about the horrific stuff going on with these hotels has been on the public record forever, except everyone has
GTS.
trivialized it and then just minimized it and just, oh, I guess it's all whatever. And it's like, no, it's not just whatever. So
It's not just whatever. It's not
it,
just whatever.
the problem has been systemic and institutionalized. It doesn't matter who got involved, they got implicated. And everybody's got a scale of legal liability, very legal liability for what in the hell they did. It doesn't matter that they just walked out of a hotel and once upon a time I was cleared by the power invested in L Ron Hubbard that I don't write my overts and my withholds anymore. Carol Masterson, write your overts and your withholds and turn them in to the state's attorney's office and say, look, this is how I treated my son my whole time. I found out about everything. He literally did this first at this age, and then he did it again, and then he did it again, and then I sent him back to Celebrity Center, and then I told him that it was going to be all cleared and floated, and then asked them to take you to jail, and maybe they can take his sentence down like that. I mean, that would be a great way to, step up to what you did that made your son become that thing.
And that is the only thing she should be doing right now. Instead of whatever the hell it is that she's doing, she should be
Just
doing nothing but
blackmailing people to
exposing
write desperate
her
letters and sink their
role.
careers and screw their
Exactly.
family, as if the Kutchers don't have to now screw their family because they got involved with y'all.
She
It's like
should be throwing
literally
herself in front of the
come
train to
clean.
save her kid.
Come
Yeah.
clean. You already have this term in Scientology. Come the F clean. Stop being infantile. Stop being bamboozling idiot. You don't have to be that. You can stand up. You can cut ties. You can disconnect from your abusers. It's okay. Walk out of the abuse and actually confess and actually come with transparency and with humility to the table instead of, we really care about victims, you guys, and we're really going to do a lot and we're going to continue doing so in the future. It's like, who the hell cares? If this is how you showed up all along when you weren't being watched, when you did take it upon yourself to write to a, judge, it's like, please, that's not gonna work. So if you guys have more questions, please let us know and start writing them now. We're gonna go through a couple of ones that we got here.
Can I read you something?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I wrote this thing the other day, and I relate it to the Jane Does, and I relate it to other sexual assault victims, and I relate it to other Scientology sexual assault victims. And so this was my list of Me Too. So this was before Scientology. This was just when I was left home because my mother was at the org. He said he'd give me candy. He said it was a game. He said it was a magic trick. He said all girls needed to know it. And this was during Scientology when I was a little bit older. I was told I was 2D flowing, which means I was putting off sexual vibes. Now I was 12. I restimulated him. I was dramatizing my past life as a prostitute. I was his in a past life. I was sending out invisible tractor beams to him. I was promiscuous. I wanted it. I was a tall, cool drink of water. I was Flesh Gordon. We are all the same height lying down. Age is only a number. Age is only a consideration. 14 and 41 are the same number turned around. It was my problem if I didn't want it. I had sins if I didn't like him. My objections meant I had done bad things. I was asking for it. I was developing. I had lured him. I was out of line. I was trying to get attention. I was dramatizing being my body. He's an upstat. He's an operating thetan. He's an opinion leader. You're not in good standing. You just need to handle your misemotions. You're an ethics particle. You pulled it in. You're nattering. You can handle that in session. It's just your body. And then after I was drinking, it was my fault. I should be ashamed. I should be quiet. I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been alone. I should have said no louder. I should have tried harder. I should have run faster. I should have reported it sooner. I should get over it. I should move on. And so my lessons then were, don't tell. It doesn't matter. You're to blame. But as an adult, I know, tell. It does matter. You're not to blame. And then I feel like sharing this because it keeps happening. I'm tired of being this strong silent type because silent got me nowhere. And because I had to think so many times before I could type this out. And I just so relate to the Jane Does with what they experienced, you know? It's all of these things are because of Scientology, after Scientology, and how I had to process it because of my upbringing. And it's all just incredibly painful and ridiculous. And I just am so glad that we're having these conversations publicly and that these women finally got a piece of justice, you know, just a tiny piece.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that was so profound and that was so beautiful and, you know, so well said. And again, it's like when we write these things, we're speaking the voices of so many of us that have been silenced, that have been trivialized, that have been mocked, that have been literally told that what in the hell is our problem? Like we deserved it and we signed the contract. And if you have any problem, well, you know, better luck next lifetime.
They actually said that to us. Better luck next lifetime.
Well, in closing, I'll read you a poem meditation that I wrote this morning. And it says, in shadows cast by the cold's deceitful disguise, we sought the truth beneath the starless skies. In Scientology's grip, we once did dwell, but now we rise from their toxic spell. Through pain and anguish, we forged our way, breaking free from the night into the day. The scars run deep, the wounds still sore, but in our hearts, a fire to explore. The journey's long, the path is steep, as we wake from this enduring sleep. With whispered voices, we find our voice, reclaiming our lives, making the choice. To heal from your wounds, both seen and concealed, to find the light in the darkness revealed. In unity, we find our strength anew. We love and freedom, our spirits grew. No longer captive to the past embrace, we find our peace in this sacred space. Healing from Scientology's cruel snare, we rise above, stronger, free, and fully aware. With courage as our compass, we explore the boundless skies, the ocean's mighty roar. In unity and love, we find our way. Healing from Scientology will stay. So let us breathe and let us mend, for our resilience has no end. In this journey to be whole and free, we find our truth, our sanctuary.
That's really beautiful.
Well, and that's what we have to remember, that this is our sanctuary of healing, because this is where we're discussing the truth, where we're not being muscled, where we're not being told how to say it and how to really bring it up. And it's like, no, we need to let every last kid that was abused, that is inconceivable what was done to y'all. Inconceivable the amount of premeditated, disgusting abuse taking place by every last person that signed themselves to become an L Ron Hubbard protege. So before everybody wants to just blame it on one person, let's just start with a bucket of every last Scientology parent, whether you're in, whether you're out, whether you this, whether you that. Start making y'all's amends actually count. And yes, Christy, I agree. Let's add Mila and Ashton to the list of people that need to make serious amends, not just to those Jane Does, but to every last child trafficking victim that nobody even knows exists, apparently. Never mind that the federal trafficking lawsuits are literally on the record. But, I guess, Mila's and Ashton's team also forgot to Google that there were, all kinds of other things coming up that are already on the record that y'all can really start reviewing, since there are like a lot of pages for y'all to like get familiar with. Yeah, never mind that the corporate media acts like another day, another lawsuit that, the leader cannot be found, but who gives a shred of an F? As long as you're a white man in this country, no one is going to touch you. Literally, that's all it takes in this country. Be a white man that runs this disgusting thing, because you know what? R. Kelly got racketeering charges. He faced those very real racketeering charges from child trafficking, a scintilla of what these people have done at scale for decades, enabled by this government that likes to play dumb real quick, as if all the books from that indicted, convicted felon L Ron Hubbard have not been available in the public record for how many decades, y'all? And now us, the kids that have to study that disgusting dysfunction, are the ones that are getting tapped to literally waste our time, having to call all of these corrupt people that are getting paid to not do a job. CC Clearwater Police, CC Tampa Bay Times, CC LA Times, CC LAPD,
LAPD.
and CC FBI and CC Department of Justice. Get y'all's literal dysfunction of law enforcement tapping celebrities of Hollywood to really help you like fight whatever in the hell you say you're fighting. Because literally, like, it's hard to literally see so much of this stuff play out, and everyone plays dumb.
Yeah. So Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, don't step down, step up.
Step up.
Parents of Scientology. Whether you were a Sea Org member, whether you were brainwashed, whether you were public, I don't care. Tell the truth about what was done to children. That's all you have to do. I understand wanting to step away. You're ashamed of your experience. If you don't step up now and tell the truth about what was done to your children, what you saw done to children, what you did to children, what you looked away for, it will not stop. Step up. Don't step down. Don't step away. Don't pretend like you don't have a responsibility here. You do. We will help you. We will help you. Please show up. Show up for your children now. It's not too late. Show up for current children, future children. Their lives and livelihood hangs in the balance of what we do now, here. No joke.
Literally no joke. We couldn't be more serious. We couldn't be more somber. We couldn't be more, literally like in utter disbelief, you guys, about all of this stuff coming undone AF. But like Christy said, it's like the only solution is for y'all to come clean, for y'all to really step up, not step down of positions as if stepping away is going to really do anything. That's what every last parent has been doing. It's like, and how's that working out? The dysfunction's still going on.
We can rattle off the executives and the parents that have stepped down and stepped away. and quietly tried to move on with their lives. And we are not saying you didn't suffer, that you were not also a victim. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that future victims hang in the balance of what we choose to do. What we do matters. That's it.
Literally, yeah. Literally, yeah. And the sooner you do step up, the better it is for everyone, because you can be setting an example of what real accountability and real humbling, really having a come to Jesus moment that we would love for, Mila and Ashton to have, instead of these bratty videos about how their entitlement is
Take
just
back your
all
power.
okay.
Take back your integrity. Take back your power. You got fooled, you got punked, whatever. Fine. Great. Step back up. Do the right thing now. Now that you know. Scientology parents, now that you know, now that you've moved away from the brainwashing, now that you've seen through the lie and the manipulations that you didn't see at the time, perfectly fine. It's cool. Come back to the table and do something now. That's all that we're asking. That's all that we need.
Literally just try honesty. See how that could maybe change your life if you did try it once upon a time. Clean hands do make a happy life. So clean y'all's hands. You were defrauded. You would abuse yourselves. No one's taking that away from the context here. In the ethics department of Scientology, they won't even consider that context whatsoever in your involvement with anything. They will tell you you're some disgusted, degraded person. Well, you know what? You're a human. And you literally did get defrauded AF, including you, Carol Masterson. You were defrauded, FYI.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my mother and just like Christy's mother, you were lied to. Never mind that then you became the liar and the manipulator yourself. Well, you know what? Own it. Own who you were. Own who you became. Own everything you did wrong in that very relationship that wrecked your first child's life. In case you didn't know, you weren't some sort of far removed mother that had nothing to do. You were his momager. He couldn't step one step without you knowing what in the hell was going on. That was not healthy. He had mental health crises as a result. He became a complete depraved man, targeting women that had not a shred of anything to do with his anger issues. So that's our message to all of these Scientology parents. Like, open y'all's eyes. It's a wake-up call. It's the year 2023. It's time for y'all to stop pretending that if something was written in a memo by L Ron Hubbard, who is a convicted, indicted felon, again, Google it for yourselves. Google it for your damn selves. And stop acting like if you Google that, you're going to really have a problem. Stop asking permission. First and foremost, stop asking permission from people that don't have your best interest in mind. How about starting with that? How about looking out to your own very first personal interest instead of just following some ridiculous advice about how we all have to think the same and we all have the same narrative? Because, if we really do launder all these talking points, we can continue pitching how all of this dysfunction is not a full-blown racketeering scam that's hurting children every day. Never mind. That's the only reason we care. So I think that's kind of the perfect point to really end that, you guys.
Okay. Perfect.
So we had an amazing week with a lot of changes and a lot more things coming. And, we're going to be joined by all of you who continue to sign up for our lives and watch us. We have 122 people here. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for listening. And, I want to also just remind everyone, go to the Instagram accounts of the FDLE, go to the Instagram accounts of the LAPD, go to all of their social medias. They have TikToks, they have Instagram accounts. Just find these people that are supposed to be doing a job and ask them the questions. the questions that you have the power in your questions. We cannot do anything else. All we can do is ask questions to start sharpening the lackluster AF critical thinking skills that this country is under the spell of. This country is a wonderful country, but you know what? It does lack a ton of critical thinking skills, because all manner of gaslighters and narcissists are literally getting involved in, Michael was dancing in the background and he totally threw me off. He
I love
literally,
that. I
I'm
wish we could
so
see
annoyed.
Michael dancing in the
Okay, guys, it's
background. You
really time to
guys.
go.
Okay.
Thank you so much for everything, and we will see you guys
Thank
really,
you.
really soon. Bye bye.